guys, welcome to my channel. It is Christian here. Thank you so much for joining me again today. So today we're going to be talking about some newer eyeshadow palettes. I've been picking up a lot of the new release eyeshadow palettes that have been coming out over the last month or two, and I've been playing with them. I've been testing them. I've been trying them out, just kind of trying to get my overall thoughts and opinions about some of these eyeshadow palettes that have been coming out. And then I thought that today I could come to you guys and tell you which ones are my favorites, which ones are my least favorites, which ones I think that if you were only going to buy one, which one maybe that you would buy, and which ones that maybe you can just 100% pass on. You don't need it all, you guys. You definitely don't need it all. I don't dislike any of the palettes. I just think that they are not all created equally. So if you guys are interested in this type of video, then you're going to want to go ahead and keep on watching. But before I get into that, I just want to say, if you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Christian. Thank you so much for joining me. If you don't mind, before you head out, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. That way you can be notified of all future videos. And if you're not new to my channel, welcome back. Thank you for continuing, you guys, to support me. It means so much to me. You guys already know that. But if you are interested in some of these hot new summer releases, then you're going to want to go ahead and just keep on watching. Okay, so I have 7 palettes here to go through, and they are all eyeshadow palettes. So the first two that I'm going to talk about are exclusive to Ulta, the Lorac Pro 3 palette. This is what it looks like here. And I do have the other two Lorac palettes, and I also have both of the Lorac Mega Pros as well. So just for reference, this is what the Lorac Pro 2 looks like. It is slightly more cool toned. I do not reach for this one a ton. And this is what the original looks like. I definitely did use the original a lot more than the second one. And the first one, or the third one, was right up my alley when I saw it, especially when you compare it to the original. The newer one is on top. It is a lot more neutrally shades. It doesn't have as many deep colors. It doesn't have the amount of the original one. I feel like you can get a lot more vampy, deeper looks out of than you can with the new one. I feel like the original just has I feel like the original has just a few more unique shades than the newer one. The quality is always going to be the same with the Lorac Pro shadows. They are very buttery, they are very pigmented, but they are very, very soft, and they do kick up a lot of powder. So there is just a couple of them swatched on the back of my hand. I am drawn to this palette because of the shades that are in it. I do not feel that any of the shades in here are super unique. I feel like it's still a beautiful palette. I feel like it is very beginner friendly, that you can get some really soft, beautiful bronzy looks out of this. I feel like you can get a little bit on the deeper side because they do include a black. Lorac does include black in all of their eyeshadow palettes, which is nice because that does make it an all-in-one palette. So you could just add a little bit of black to the outer V, and then you could take any look kind of to the next level with that. It is in their standard packaging as far as the 8 mattes on top, the 8 shimmers on bottom. Their shades are always really nice and really pigmented and really buttery and really easy to use. Sometimes Lorac shadows, they are easy to use, but sometimes they're too easy to use, in the sense that because they are so blendable, it's almost like if you blend too much, you can blend them into nothingness, if that makes sense. So out of the original 3 palettes, the first, the second, and the third, I do like the original the best, and then I like this one a little bit more than the second one. The second one does lean, the first one leans more warm, the second one leans more cool, and this one is definitely a lot more on the neutral side. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but the powder kick up on these. Let me see if y'all can see that. They're beautiful shades, but the powder kick up is really intense. That doesn't bother me. I know that some people do not like Lorac shadows for that reason, and I'm definitely glad that I have it because now my Lorac collection is complete. So I would probably give this one like a 3 out of 5. And just so you guys know, this does retail for $44 at Ulta. Next palette is the It Cosmetics Superhero palette. Now this is the first It Cosmetics palette that I have ever tried. I've always been interested in trying their eyeshadow palettes, I just never have. But because this one was newer, I decided to go ahead and pick this one up. Okay, so this palette retails for $42 on Ulta.com as well. It comes with 12 eyeshadow shades that they say are limited to this particular palette. Okay, so one thing that I do like about IT Cosmetics as a whole, everything that they do gives you like skincare benefits. It's not just plop an eyeshadow on your face and go about your day. So that's always really nice. They always lean towards like anti-aging properties. So that's cool. Okay, so the layout of this palette, they kind of have what you can see, the 3 larger shades right here, which they call the foundation shades, color correcting for your eyes. You lay those down as a base, and then that's going to color correct anything that you have going on in your eyelids. Now, I have tried all 3 of those out. I don't really know if I feel like that is a little bit on the more gimmicky side. My eyeshadow primers color correct. Most people do use eyeshadow primers, and most eyeshadow primers do tend to, unless you're using like a clear base one, tend to have some type of color correcting properties already in them. Break it down into 3 sections within the palette. So they have the superhero nudes, the superhero neutrals, and then the superhero liners. So the liners are the 3 deepest shades, and basically what those are for is obviously you can deepen up any look with them. They say that you can wear these particular shadows wet or dry. They're meant to be used as liners. So overall, I was very impressed by the quality of these shadows. I wore it, I want to say I wore it like 3 days in a row. I was excited about the quality of these shadows. I did find them extremely blendable, and I did find them easy to use. What I did not like about these shadows, or at least the ones that I tried, I felt like the shadows that I used blended together, and like you couldn't really tell one shadow from the other. Now they are super creamy, they are super blendable, are very, very, very pigmented. For this being my first eyeshadow palette by them, I am impressed by it. They do pull up some powder kick up on these as well. It's really, really nice. They are smooth. They are, I would say that they are like powdery the way that the Lorac shadows are. They do give off some really, really good pigmentation. I do like the palette overall. I just feel like the looks that I created with it were nothing special, nothing extraordinary. But I am happy to have it, and I am excited to play with it a little bit more. What I can see, it looks like there are 5 mattes in the palette, and then the rest of them are shimmers. I think that it is a good variety of shades in here, but I do feel like I could probably dupe every single shade that's in this particular palette. But with that being said, I don't have the largest makeup collection in the world, but it's definitely not small. So I do like this palette. It's still not my favorite one. Next palette is the Urban Decay Moondust eyeshadow palette. This retails for $49, and it can be purchased at both Ulta and Sephora and UrbanDecay.com, if I'm not mistaken. It comes with 8 of their Moondust eyeshadows that are all exclusive to this particular palette. So if you guys have never tried the Moondust, formula before, it is absolutely beautiful. I'm actually wearing the shade Galaxy on my lids today. They are beautiful shades. A lot of them have like duochrome properties to them that just can take your look to the next level. They're pretty much like kind of like pressed glitter pigments, so they are, I don't want to say that they're difficult to work with, but you are definitely going to experience a lot of fallout with these guys. Now, this is an awesome palette to add to your collection. Is this a palette that you're going to reach for every single day? Probably not. I mean, the pigmentation on these is beautiful, but it is essentially, you guys, it's just like glitter. Like it's just really glittery pigments, and I didn't own anything like this personally. I do own a couple of the Moondust shadows. You definitely want to wear these. I mean, the pigmentation is really, really nice. These are something that you definitely would have to lay a base down. It's just going to make the colors more vibrant, and it's going to make them pop a lot more. I mean, it's beautiful, you guys. Is it something that I'm going to reach for every day? No. Is it something that you need? No. Now, is it something that you need? Probably not. The reason why I do like it is because it's something just fun to have. Like, I don't own a lot of glitters, but I feel like this is just something that every once in a while when you're wanting to reach for that something extra, I definitely think that it's worth it. Now, the best way, in my opinion, to apply these is with your fingertips. I feel like they just go onto the eye a little bit better if you just kind of press them in with your finger first. So that's how I do it, and I make sure to apply a base. Today I'm wearing the Urban Decay Bondage kind of as my kind of as like my primer to press these onto my eye. It was really cool for Urban Decay to release this because these Moon Dust shadows on their own, I want to say retail for like 20 or 21 bucks. And this way you do get 8 of them to try out. I do like it. I probably will use it from time to time, but it's probably one that I could have skipped. And if I wasn't like a makeup collector, if I wasn't interested in doing things for reviews for you guys, I probably would have. Packaging is bomb. Urban Decay packaging is always bomb. I mean, I do like it. I like it. So I do like this palette. None of the palettes that I'm talking about are bad or poor quality. But this one, if you're going to go ahead and pick it up, you have to kind of find the right technique for you to kind of apply them to your eyes. Because if you have hooded eyes like I do, the glitter is going to transfer to your upper lid, which it kind of has on me. So you definitely want to apply like a glitter glue, like the Urban Decay Bondage or the Too Faced glitter glue, which is what I use in a ton of my videos. And then yes, and I definitely recommend doing your face makeup after you apply these, or do not set anything into place. If you go ahead and go in with foundation first, do not set anything, do not conceal until you have the glitter shades down on your eye. The Kat Von D Serpentina palette. When I first saw this shadow with this eyeshadow palette, I thought it was absolutely stunning. It has some really, really beautiful jewel tone shades in here. It does come with 8 eyeshadows and then 1 pressed pigment right in here. It retails for 45 bucks, and it of course is going to be exclusive to Sephora and Kat Von D's actual website. Now it only has 2 matte shades, which would be basically the outer 2 shades. So the like burgundy shade and then like the purple, those are going to be the matte shades in the palette, and the rest of them are jewel tone. The way I feel about the palette is you get amazing color payoff with all of the shades. You do have to work with these a little bit more than say some other jewel toned or some other matte shadows. The two matte shades can be a little bit on the patchier side, in my opinion. They do blend. You just have to kind of layer them a couple of times to get them the color pigment that you want them to be. They are, like I said, a little bit on the patchy side, but they are workable. The shimmer shades, I do feel like you definitely need to apply a more tacky base to get them to stick to your eyes properly. With these, I would probably go in with a glitter glue. Like I would go in with something like the Too Faced glitter glue, which is my favorite way to apply like pressed pigments and very shimmery eyeshadows to kind of make sure that they stay in place. I do think that they do layer up really nicely. I do think that they layer up really evenly. I do think that the colors in here are cool, very, very stunning and very beautiful. I do not think, in my opinion, that this is a standalone palette. The way I would wear this is as like the same way that I would wear the Urban Decay Moon Dust palette. I would use this for accent shades. So I would go in for a really beautiful crease or a really beautiful all over lid color from here, because even though I think that this matte shade right here is gorgeous, like I am obsessed with this matte shade, I do think that I have matte shades that do perform a little bit better. The shimmer shades in here also do have a little bit of kick up. Do, like I said, require just a little bit of layering just to kind of give yourself an all over even pigmented eyeshadow look. I do think that it is workable. I do think that it is doable. I love Kat Von D's Monarch palette. I think that it is absolutely stunning, and it's one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes. I've never tried her Shade and Light palette. And so this is, I mean, I love the packaging. I think it's beautiful. I always love her presentations. I always want to open it from the other side, but I love her presentations. I love the fact that it does come with a mirror. I love the pressed pigment in here is very beautiful as well. And I think that if it's worn wet, the color payoff on that would just be stunning. I like it. I mean, I think I would give this like a 3.75. Like none of these palettes I regret purchasing. I just feel like out of practicalness, how much are you gonna actually use them? I see makeup products and I just automatically am like, yes, it looks amazing. But how often am I ever gonna wear like a purple smoky eye? Never, ever. So we're down to my 3 faves. Okay, and then the one that I would recommend next is the Smashbox Photo Matte Eyes. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, this one is exclusive to Ulta, but the Photo Matte Eyes, but then I also was just looking that I saw that Sephora carries one that's called the Matte Exposure Palette. I'm not really sure if they're the same thing or if they differ slightly. Looks like they do differ slightly, but it is going to be the exact same concept. So again, the one that I got is from Ulta. This retails for $49 and it is all matte shades. So it does come with 14 eyeshadow shades, right? 6, 12, 13, 14. It does come with 14 eyeshadow shades, and it also does come with a brush. The only other one that comes with the brush is one of the other ones that I'm going to show you in just a second. None of the other ones come with the brush. It does retail for $49. The one thing that I do like about this one is I do like the fact that it is all matte eyeshadow palette. I do think that it is very, very versatile. I do think that you're gonna just get really, really nice neutral looks out of this. But what is great about this palette and why I do like it is because of the functionalities of it. So what I do like about this palette is it is very versatile in the sense of it does have some really nice brow shades in here. So basically the reason that this palette was created was meant to be a dual purpose, dual functioning palette. So you can use the darker shades as eyeliners, you can use the browns as shadow, as eyebrow products, and I have tried it as an eyebrow product, and I don't typically like powders in my brows, but it actually was pretty easy and nice to use. I think that the looks that I created with this were just very simple, very soft, very neutral. So this is a good palette to have if you want to compare, if you want to add it with something like that's going to be like a more heavily jewel toned palette like the Urban Decay palette or like the Kat Von D, because you get such a good variety of warm to neutral, like warm and neutral brown shades. And there is a couple of cooler shadows mixed in here as well. I don't really own too many Smashbox products, so I was very pleasantly surprised with how these worked. They're very easy to work with. They don't have like the creamy formula of say like the Lorac shadows or even the It Cosmetics shadows. They are a little bit stiffer, but I think that that can be a good thing, which basically means that the product is going to go exactly where you place it. It's much of a powder kick up as say the It Cosmetics or the Lorac palettes do, but that is a good thing in my opinion. If you put it up side by side to the Lorac Pro 3, you can definitely see a few similarities. You do not need both of these. The reason why you would want say the Lorac palette over this one is because the Lorac palettes you can get like a full complete look with it, as far as if you want something a little bit more shimmery, if you want something a little bit more reflective on your eyes, you're going to get that from the Lorac palette, whereas from this you're going to get just a full matte palette, which I personally am here for. I like it. I'm very impressed with Smashbox shadows as far as this palette is concerned. So I say that this is definitely one to go for. Okay, so we're down to my two favorite palettes that I have purchased recently within the last 2 months, and it is the Smashbox, I forget what you're called, the Smashbox Masterclass palette, the Lighting Theory, and the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. Now this is going to be a little unfair as far as why I'm going to pick which one I like more. So the one that I would say is my favorite out of all of them is the Smashbox Masterclass palette. Now this one retails for $65 and is exclusive to Sephora. This one you can buy at Sephora and Ulta and Anastasia.com, and I'm sure maybe at some point you'll be able to get it off Beautylish. I'm not sure about that though. Now why I prefer the Smashbox one is simply because it is like a one and done palette. It is definitely more pricey, but if you're gonna spend your money on one, I just say that this is the one to get. But let me talk, well, since I'm here, I'm going to talk about it. I just say that this is the one that you should get. I have been using these color correctors like nobody's business. I've used the blushes a ton. The eyeshadow quality is really, really great. It has a great variety of more neutral tones, with more neutral tone shadows in here, with a couple of pops of purple with the blue and the purple. But I have just been obsessed with this palette. Yes, it is $65, but I feel like you just get so much bang for your buck. I have literally been using this nearly every single day since I purchased it, whether it's for the cream highlight shade, whether it's for the color correctors, the blushes, the eyeshadows. I have found a reason to use this every day. Eyeshadows are very, I don't know, I think that the eyeshadows are very blendable, very easy to use. You get 16 eyeshadows, you get 3 blushes, you get 4 color correctors, you get highlight contour, you get like your 2 contouring shades or your bronzing shades, you get a highlighting shade like a concealer, and then you get three highlighters down here at the bottom, 3 cream highlighters. And I'm obsessed with this palette, you guys. I love it. I think that they knocked this one out of the park. It's $65, yes, but think about it. It's $65. You get 15 eyeshadows, you get 3 blushes and color correctors. Like if you, any of these, every single palette that I just showed you retails for a minimum of 40 bucks. And then these shadows, Smashbox has their powder contours that you can purchase, and I want to say that those are like about 40 bucks, $45. So when you think about it like that, the value on this is just insane. One drawback I would say is I feel like this concealer shade isn't going to work for you if you're deeper skin tone. These 2 highlight shades down here are going to be a little bit too light. If you're my skin tone to like medium tan, you can probably definitely get a lot of good use out of this. Okay, so the runner-up palette, which I think is beautiful and it is quickly becoming like one of my favorite palettes of all time, is the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. This can be purchased at both Ulta and Sephora. It does retail for 42 bucks, which is a little bit more expensive than her previous eyeshadow palettes in the past. The reason being that this one does, I want to say, come with an additional 2 extra shades. This one comes with 14 eyeshadows, and of the 14, to me it looks like about 4 of them, at first glance to me it looks like 4 of those are matte shades. I think that it is a beautiful array of warm tone shadows, but if you are a lover of the cool tone, there are a couple of cool tone shadows in here. Like, what is that? Bon Fresco is a cool tone shade, but then if you are a lover of the warms, it is just stunning. The hype behind this palette is so real because it truly is a beautiful eyeshadow palette. When I first got this, I thought that Love Letter and Venetian Red were just a little bit too on the similar side, but they are just really different shades. Like when swatched out, when applied to the eye and blended out, they do give you similar looks. Red Ochre is one of my favorite shades in the palette. I think it's gorgeous. Real Gar is another super gorgeous shade. And then Cypress Umber. I'm just talking, every shadow in here is absolutely stunning. This is one eyeshadow palette where every shadow performs equal to its counterparts. Every shadow in here is good. Every shadow in here is usable. The pigmentation is insane. The blendability is insane. You don't get too much, you don't really get fallout with these shadows. It's just gorgeous, you guys. It just creates the most beautiful eye looks. It is very easy. When you look at this, you think that it would be a more dramatic palette because of the shade options. As far as the more berry, cranberry type shades, you would think that this would be a little bit not like, it would be inappropriate for daytime in a certain sense, that everything that you would kind of create up here would be a little bit more vampy, a little bit on the more vampy, smokier side. But this, you can easily create a day look with this. Some really gorgeous night looks out of this as well. This palette I feel like is going to be everybody's best friend in the fall time. I feel like this is the perfect fall palette. However, I don't care if it's fall, spring, summer, or winter. If I like something, I'm putting it on my eyeballs and putting it on my lips. I don't care. You know what I mean? So trends are fun, but sometimes you just gotta do you. So this palette is the runner-up, and the only reason this palette was the runner-up is because I just feel like this palette is it's just everything that you need it to be. If this palette did not have the color correctors and the blushes and it just had the eyeshadows, I would have picked this as the best eyeshadow palette that has been released that I have personally tried within the last, I'd say, 2 months. So all in all, you guys, those are the palettes that have been released within the last couple of months, and I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of how I felt about them. If you like this style of video, please let me know, because y'all know I be trying a lot of stuff. I be trying a lot. That is pretty much it. I really hope that you did enjoy this video. If you did, I'm going to go ahead and ask that you do 3 things. The first one being giving this video a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. The second one being comment down below, have you tried out any of these palettes? Which one is your favorite? Which one would you recommend overall? There is a palette that was recently released within the last 2 to 3 months that I did not mention in here that you are absolutely loving. Let me know in the comments down below, and I will do my best to pick that palette up and review it or talk about it or try it out. And the third thing is, if you are not subscribed to my channel, you guys go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Subscribing to my channel just ensures that you miss no future upcoming videos. I see you next time. You guys be safe out there. Bye.